Alright, so the next point I want to make is I think RuneScape should add, or Jagex should add, specialty stances. Sort of like a pure specializes in one combat skill to sneak up on their opponent. Um, I feel as if a combat stance uh, it will give you bonus damage related to your stance. So say if you're in wizard stance or whatever you want to call it, um, my magical attack will have increased damage. Um, so say I'm attacking somebody, my magical attacks would do more damage than they normally would without the stance. But the negative effect of the stance is it increases the damage taken from uh, my enemy that's in my triangle. So if I'm weak to a certain combat stance, then I'm way weaker to it. I also think we should add hybrid stances to support switching. So instead of having a huge increase to one combat, you would have a little bit of one, a little bit of other, you know? So in case I want to range you and then switch to Dragon Claws and use my special attack, um, my hybrid stance will not fully hinder that damage. And I would say you can scale it to like uh, 3 to 1, 2 to 1, one being just one is increasing just purely one skill, and 3/4 of that bonus. If you're in 3 to 1, 3/4 of that bonus will go to one combat towards the other one, so on. You can have just multiple variations of stances, and so you could have wizard stance, you could have berserker stance, you could have ranger stance, you could have um, assassin stance, you can have um, mage blade stance, or whatever you paragon stance, paladin stance, whatever you want to call it, Jagex. You know, go ahead and just add stances. It'll create a little more uniqueness to PKing and PVM. This just doesn't have to be an update for PKing. Now, your stance will be invisible to other players. I would strongly suggest that, because what's the fun in going up to somebody and know what stance they're in? Yeah, they look like they're mage, but back in old school PKing, my buddy would always say, I never knew if people were going to switch. I always had to be ready. I always had to be alert. Um, you never know when they would switch and do a spec. Um, so make it so your stance is only visible to you. And you see on the picture, I have the clan avatar buff. I would say add that to your character. So when you're in a stance, it has a certain icon around it and certain colors or whatever. So you know that, hey, I'm in this stance. You don't have to check your buffs, or you don't have to check your stances or anything like that. I would say that would be an awesome addition. Or you could disable it in UI settings if you didn't want to see that, if it's slowed down your computer or whatever. But yeah, I would say create combat stances. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do with this slide is talk about ability bar switching. I think it would be a good feature to add a way to right click your item in your inventory and set options, so when you equip it, it automatically switches your action bar to whatever action bar you want. So like when you're PKing and you equip, like, say, let's go with um, a granite maul. I mean, no one's really going to use that, but we'll just use that as an example. Go with your granite maul, it'll switch your ability bar from your mage bar, like say you're maging and you equipped your granite maul, it would switch your ability bar to your strength bar or whatever ability bar you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that way you can go in, hit your special attack, use all your adrenaline, and tap into that weapon's special attack. I think that'll add in a lot more old school style way of PKing. So yeah, I think the ability bar switching is a must-need option or must-have option for the game to attract more PKers. Yeah, you can keybind it to switch to whatever, but players don't really want to have to equip the weapon, push a keybind, and then push another. That's too much delay, People want to have that instant satisfaction of equipping the weapon, pushing their ultimate button, and boom, person's dead. So there we go.